Hello everyone, we're back in week 2 of module 4 and I wanted to kind of walk through this module because we have a lot going on coming up, but we do have 2 more weeks to get to cover it in this module. So I want to go to our As You Learn page and kind of walk through that again, just to make sure everyone knows what's due this week and then what's due next week. Be sure to get your stuff in. I said in the beginning you really need to be self-paced in this class and get those schedules on your calendar. I would rather you turn stuff in late than not turn it in at all, so I can work with you on that. Talk to me and keep communicating if you've got any problems. I know someone had their laptop wasn't working. I know there's a lot of technical issues, so just talk to me about it and we can work through this. Also, I know that there are some technical issues with getting your stuff on the ASU server, getting that working, and want to make sure that you know you are only allowed one website through the server. So if you have a current site or a previous site for another class, you need to either eliminate that site or you need to combine it. So like add a link to this page on your site if you've got one currently going for another class, for example. So only one site for the App State server. And then other issues, I'll continue to try to work with you on that. And the most important thing is to get your website live in Module 9. Everything that we're doing right now is just to prepare you to give you the skills and the assets that you need to have a professional and a personal portfolio online by the end of the course. So that's kind of the most important module, is to get everything up and ready then. So we're just preparing for that. So if your site is not live at this point, you've got some time still to work through the technical issues so that we can get it all working by Module 9. All right, so back to our course page. I'm going to go to Module 4. And actually, I want to, go back up to look at our syllabus. So make sure you look in your syllabus on that schedule where it breaks it down module by module so that you've got the due dates and you know what is coming up. So right now we're in Module 4. We've got the logo design video. I've uploaded the image map video. We have the reading of just chapter 11 and 14. And then I've got new videos uploaded today for the photographer website tutorial, which is really meant to be a step-by-step guide through that tutorial if you need that. If you prefer just to do it through the textbook, that's fine, and you don't need to watch the video, that is fine. So that is just purely for your benefit. And then we've got this today, February 28th. The discussion 4 is due, and then the logo is due. Image map and survey are due coming up. So next week is the survey, which is just to assess the tutorial for the photographer website, and then you've got a little bit of time to do the image map, and that's going to be something you add to your website as a link. And just to talk a little bit more about the logo does not need to be integrated onto your website at this point, but it will be later. So you can either create an original logo for your portfolio or for your professional site that you'll do as a collaboration, and it needs to be web ready. So remember, we learned about what that means for an image to be web ready. It needs to be PNG, JPEG, or GIF. And we didn't talk much about SVG at all, but that's a scalable vector graphic. And if you want to, and you're familiar with that, and you want to save it as a SVG, if you've got a vector for your logo, you're welcome to do that as well. But I'm mainly looking for the formats we talked about, the PNG, JPEG, and GIF. So you can look, and this was a slight change that I made. I had the wrong dates for Module 5. I think I had 2/21 instead of 3/21. So Module 5 actually begins on March 21st. So we're still here in Module 4. And then let's look at that logo assignment page again. So this is what I'm looking for, that they're well designed and web ready. You can look at that logo design video so you can learn more about logo design and read the chapter 11 and 14 about web design guidelines. And then you also need to do the tutorial through the textbook and take the quiz and submit it next Tuesday. All right, now we're going to go on to Module 4. And I have added, there's a lot of videos, I know, but they're not meant for you to all watch at one time, so pace yourself. I've added After Image Maps, the photographer website stage 1 video, and then the stage 2. And just a heads up, stage 2 is really long. It's like 35 minutes, so you can break that up into 2 sections if you want to. I didn't mean for it to go so long. I usually like to segment it so that the videos are shorter, but that one is an exceptionally long video, just to warn you on that one. So these are videos, and then I'm going to always, from this point on, add them in the links to the emails that I send as well, in case you can't see the embedded video here on the Module 4 page. And then always kind of go in order after the Start Here page. Then I've added kind of a slideshow on HTML text, a continuation from the last one, and you can scroll through that, or you can download it if you can't scroll through it, just to talk a little bit more about HTML text and tags. So these are our headings, H1, and you should have done this on the text formatting or text formatting and hyperlinks, or text formatting in color, or whatever, whichever one I called it. And so that's when you chose using the HTML panel in Dreamweaver, the different heading sizes. And then you have the P tag for paragraphs, and that's whenever you just really type in text as a new line or a new paragraph. And then structural markup are the elements that describe these headings and paragraphs. You have bold and italic. If you should need to use superscript or subscript, that's the code. This is how you would code it, and then that would be the result that would show up in your browser. And just so you know that about white space collapsing, if you type in an extra space or return in your code, that's not going to read that extra space in the resulting browser on your website. And you can add a horizontal rule. And Dreamweaver is basically an HTML editor with our visual editor and design view, and then we have our code view where we can change and add to the code. And there's some more, you can go back and look at that on what you can do in design view. You can also copy and paste text into Dreamweaver from a text editor such as Notepad or TextEdit, depending on what platform you're on. And then just to touch on semantic markup, and that is for placing emphasis, for example, in a sentence so that those with visual impairments, if they're using screen readers, they can know to read something with emphasis. It also helps as browsers may display contents differently. It provides extra information. It also helps more with search engines. And so here's some code for semantic markup. If you use the code strong, it usually shows up as bold. Emphasis usually shows up as italic. And then block quote is usually indented. So this is, for example, if it's a screen reader, they know to read something that it is meant to be strong or emphasized or meant to be a quote. And then we have our list tags, ordered lists, unordered, and definition lists. We can look at those more and how it looks like an ordered list is going to be a numbered list. And then an unordered list can also be used in our navigational bar, and it shows up as a bullet point. And then we have our definition list, which defines a term by adding an indent. And then our nested list, if you want to use a list inside of a list, and usually the browser changes the style of the bullet point so it differentiates that nested list from the list that it's nested within. And these are common ways to link, which you've already done on the last assignment, linking from one website to another, from one web page to another web page within the same site, which you did when you link back to your index page, from one part of a page to another when you link to the top using that hashtag top code jumps up to the top of the page. You can open in a new browser window or start an email program and address that email. Then using that ahref tag to hyperlink to another website. This is the code for that. This part is the absolute URL link. That's the URL that you are going to be looking for to input that complete URL web address. And then the relative URL is when you link to another page within the site. This text is the text that the user actually clicks on and that shows up in the browser. So it's better to use some text that is specific than the complete URL. So you can add that in the code and then have a specific text that the user can click on to access that website. And by default, the links usually display as blue with an underline, but you can change that. So that's the HTML text kind of slideshow. And then here's the Psychology of Web Design reading. And I've edited it so that it's only chapter 11 and 14, the required chapters for you to read. I just kept that table of content. Table of contents in there so you can see it, but you can scroll past all of that, and I kept the introduction in there too to the chapter 11 on text, followed by chapter 14 on graphics, images, and multimedia. So that's really helpful as you are planning and designing your websites and as you're talking about what makes a good website and user-friendly website. So after you've done the reading and you've watched the video back to the start page on web design, best practices, just some of the interviews, then you can do some of your own research online to look for your favorite website, least favorite website, and then go to this discussion assignment sheet for best sites so you can see what I'll be looking for in the grading. And then you'll actually write and post your discussion, and you see the discussion is already going on here for best sites. And make sure that you cite your sources. So if you find an article online, link to that article, or you find a video, link to that video in your post. And if you're citing from the reading or from the video that I posted, cite those as well. So tell us that you found that where you found that in the reading, and tell us who, if you're quoting from someone in the video, tell us who that is too. And then upload your comments here. You can also include screenshots if you want to link to a site to show us an example of a good or poorly designed website. And then the next one is the Homework 5 logo. Make sure you look at the assignment sheet for that before you submit. And then the quiz, which is due next week. and then image maps due March 21st, and you've got your assignment sheet for that as well. Don't forget the Google Hangout sign-up sheet. Again, those blackout dates, if those are the only times that you can meet, go ahead and fill in a spot there, and I'll get back to you on whether or not I can meet during that time if you want to meet one-on-one. And I'm going to do another Zoom session. I'm going to try to do it Tuesday, February 7th at 7 p.m. for those of you who can only do it in the evenings. And just to, I know I didn't clarify this in the beginning, but for the Zoom sessions, I'm not presenting any new information. It's just a time if you have any questions for me that we can meet and try to work through any issues that you're having or just answer any questions. And just depending on how many people join in, you can hop in and out as you want. But if you need a one-on-one session, do the Google Hangout with me. And one more thing is I've added an extra credit up here, extra credit right after final project assignment sheets. We have a lot of commercial photography majors in here, and I want to utilize that skill. I've got a Town of Boone brochure due for my other class, my electronic document design class, and a lot of those students would really help them to have some high resolution, high quality images for that brochure for the Town of Boone. I also have a student, a classmate of yours in this class who works for the Boone Chamber of Commerce. You can click on this link to the Boone Chamber of Commerce website. Take a look at that. So if you want to take any photos around downtown Boone, remember this is for a print brochure, so they need to be high res, 300 ppi. And I will give you extra credit if you do that and upload it to the extra credit section, and you can read more about it here. Also, if you want to do your professional website on the Town of Boone as kind of part of a tourism campaign, you could consider doing that, and you could use those images on that site as well, but also consider who you're partnering with. And I'm going to try to get up a sign-up sheet or just some kind of a sheet up here so that we can kind of know who is partnered with who. So if you can just send me an email, let me know if you already have a partner. I can try to put that out here on our course page, or I could have you just sign up directly on a Google Doc if you prefer to do it that way. So that's coming up. Just so you can start thinking about that. And also back to our start page, we scroll all the way down. I've got here under food for thought to go ahead and choose a partner for your professional site. Let me know who you'll be working with. Kind of think about also what you'll be doing for your site. And then you can think about if you want to use an image map on your website. It is not a requirement, but you can think about how that might be helpful for your site once you do that assignment. So I think that's the intro for this week, and don't forget to watch the other videos if that will be helpful for you. And I will see you next week.